Chapter 878. Xiaoxi, I don't know what Lu Tingxiao told you, but I can tell you that he doesn't love you. Zhuangkuer took a deep breath and said, because Lu Tingxiao doesn't like women at all. He likes men and he already has a boyfriend. His boyfriend is my idol that I told you about before. He's just using you to cover up his true sexual orientation. I know this sounds ridiculous, but please you must believe me, because… Ningxi interrupted her. Lu Tingxiao's boyfriend is me. Because I saw it with my own eyes. What did you just say? Zhuangkuer looked at her in astonishment. I said, Kuer, I was the man at the party that day. What are you talking about? Zhuangkuer looked like she didn't understand what she was talking about. Ningxi deliberated over her words and explained. That day at the party, the man surnamed Tang was me. At that time, Lu Jingli invited me to the party. I was worried that Lu Tingxiao's son would cause unnecessary misunderstandings, so I dressed up as a man for convenience's sake. I didn't think that something unexpected would happen after that, and everyone would misunderstand that Lu Tingxiao and I had that kind of relationship. Wait a minute. You mean Mr. Tang is you? You dressed up as a man? Zhuangkuer tried to sort out her thoughts. Yes. Zhuangkuer didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Xiaoxi, you're really obsessed with Lu Tingxiao. I know you might want to protect him. Don't worry, I haven't told anyone about this. I didn't want you to be deceived today, so I couldn't help telling you. How could you be Mr. Tang? I saw him with my own eyes. Kuer, I am indeed him. Ningxi's heart almost collapsed. She didn't have a place to change into men's clothes. How could she explain this mess? Zhuangkuer sighed and looked at Ningxi, who was wearing a light pink dress and had waist-length hair. As if she was looking at a silly girl who had lost her mind because of love. Cici, don't be so stubborn. You are so beautiful and so excellent. Why do you like a man who doesn't love you at all? I don't discriminate against homosexuals, but it's too much to use innocent women to cover up sexual orientation. Okay, Kuer, you said that Lu Tingxiao likes men and already has a boyfriend. Call that man out and confront me face to face, then I'll believe you. Ningxi knew that it was impossible to convince Zhuangkuer just by talking, so she stared at Zhuangkuer and said. Zhuangkuer frowned. I don't have Mr. Tang's contact information. Ningxi nodded. Okay, you can't call it out, right? But I can. Zhuangkuer, what? The moment her voice fell, Ningxi, who was sitting on the edge of the bed, suddenly twisted her body. Chapter 879. Zhuangkuer and Ningxi reflexively looked towards the door at the same time, and saw Lu Tingxiao's pale face. Ningxi covered her face speechlessly. What the hell? What was with the déjà vu of catching an adulterer in bed? As if the magic time had been lifted, Ningxi switched from a prairie wolf to a domestic rabbit in a second. She climbed up and bounced to Lu Tingxiao. Lu Tingxiao, why are you here? Lu Tingxiao originally thought it would be difficult to explain this matter, so he was going to tell Zhuangkuer in person, but now it seemed that there was no need. Are you really him? Zhuangkuer stood up in a daze. She felt like she was dreaming. She was still immersed in the excitement of being caught off guard by her Prince Charming. She could still hear the deep and bewitching words, "Now who am I?" ringing in her ears. Her heart was beating rapidly. It was clearly a girl in front of her. How could it be? How could it be? This was incredible. Looking at Zhuangkuer's naked eyes, Lu Tingxiao calmly pulled Ningxi behind him. Since the misunderstanding has been cleared up, then goodbye. After saying that, he directly pulled Ningxi downstairs, without any delay. Zhuangkuer looked anxious, but it was too late to stop him. She could only watch the idol she had been thinking about day and night being taken away by a wild man in just a few seconds, outside the courtyard. Ningxi turned her head and looked in the direction of her car. Wait. Lu Tingxiao. I drove here. I will ask the driver to drive away. Oh, in the car. Lu Tingxiao didn't speak all the way. His thin lips were tight, and he was obviously angry and very angry. Ningxi had a headache and pinched her eyebrows. Damn. Why did it seem like she was really caught in bed? Ahem, angry? Lu Tingxiao was silent. Well, you can't blame me. I'm just trying to clear your name. Am I? If you hadn't kissed me in public that day, would Zhuangkuer have misunderstood that we were a couple? I was trying to clean up the mess for you. Otherwise, people would really think that you like men and are two-timing. Lu Tingxiao still didn't speak. Zhuangke, is a girl okay? Do you really want to be jealous of girls? Ningxi murmured. The next second, the light turned red. Ningxi felt that the backrest behind her suddenly fell down. Before she could react, the man's figure covered her from the driver's seat. His arms were on her side, and his eyes were shining. His tone was extremely dangerous. Yes, even if you are a woman, it's the same. As soon as he finished speaking, he kissed her lips ferociously. Do. The green light turned green, and a series of urging voices came from behind. Ningxi pushed the man and tried to get up. Hey, green light. Green light. Who taught me not to mess around while driving? Lu Tingxiao's body didn't move at all. His arm touched a certain part of the car behind him, and he immediately kissed it again. Then the car started to move on its own. Looking at the scenery outside the car gradually speeding up, Ningxi's eyes almost popped out. Shit. Self-driving? Did he install this thing after the last time? Amazing, my great demon king. Chapter 880. When they got home, Ningxi puffed up her cheeks and groaned. She was obviously unhappy. Lu Tingxiao looked deeply at the marks on the girl's fair neck caused by his loss of control. You don't like it? Ningxi nodded hard. How could he be jealous of a woman? If you saw me doing that with another man one day, would you be indifferent? Lu Tingxiao said lightly. You did that with another man? Ningxi imagined the scene, and almost had a nosebleed. How could I be indifferent? Looking at the girl's excited face, she was obviously not jealous. Lu Tingxiao's eyes flashed with a trace of helplessness. You forget it. Ningxi looked at Lu Tingxiao's tired face and walked over to him with small steps. Are you angry? Lu Tingxiao glanced at her. If I was really angry with you, do you think I would still be alive? Why did it sound like she would piss him off? She was just impulsively making a little trouble, and accidentally flirting with a girl. Soon after Lu Tingxiao left, Ningxi exercised for a while, and was about to go to bed when her cell phone rang. She looked at the caller ID. It was Zhuangke. They had exchanged numbers before. Why was she calling so late at night? Ningxi picked up the phone suspiciously. Hello, Ke? Xiaoxi, are you asleep? Did I disturb you? Zhuangke asked cautiously. It's okay, I haven't slept yet. Oh, Zhuangke just said oh and didn't say anything else. Ningxi had to take the initiative to say, well, I'm sorry about what happened before. I made you misunderstand. Zhuangke said softly. There's nothing to apologize for. You didn't mean to deceive me. Instead, I should thank you. Thank you for helping me out. I always wanted to thank you in person. Hearing the girl's slightly nervous and shy tone, Ningxi touched her nose and hurriedly coughed. It's okay, it's nothing. Well, Xiaoxi, are you free tomorrow? Zhuangke hesitated for a long time and finally asked. Tomorrow? I have to go to the company tomorrow. My agent has something to discuss with me. I'm not sure when he'll be done. Is there something you need? Ningxi asked tentatively. It's nothing. It's nothing important. We should be considered friends now, right? You know, I don't have many friends. I just want to ask you to go shopping and eat something. If you don't have time, then forget it. Work is more important. Zhuangke stammered. Hearing that the girl was obviously very disappointed but pretended that it was okay, Ningxi almost couldn't help but have a tender heart for the fairer sex and agree to everything on the spot. In the end, he tactfully said, let's play together when we have time. After saying this, the other end of the phone suddenly fell silent for a long time. Ningxi frowned. Hello? Ke, are you still there? Xiaoxi, do you hate me? Zhuangke's voice trembled slightly. Chapter 881. After all, Lu Tingxiao. At that time, we were even rivals in love, but now, I really don't have that kind of feeling towards Lu Tingxiao anymore. Believe me, you don't hate me. Zhuangke was too anxious to explain, so she was almost incoherent. After all, she was used to being arrogant. She had probably never said anything like that to anyone before, and she did not know how to make friends. One had to know that it was harder than ascending to the heavens to make it sunder a person confess their inner thoughts. At the same time, this also proved that she really cared about you. Ningxi's heart softened. She said without thinking, Kuer, I really don't hate you. On the contrary, I like you very much and I want to be friends with you. I do have something to do tomorrow and I'm not sure when I'll be done. How about the day after tomorrow? Let's go for dinner, go shopping and watch a movie? Really? Zhuangkuer said in an incredulous tone. Of course. I'll see you the day after tomorrow. It's a deal. Sure. After hanging up the phone, Ningxi, who realized what she had done, wailed and fell on the bed. Fuck. Why can't I control myself again? I'm so tired. I can't resist cute girls at all. The next night, Ningxi went straight to the Platinum Gold Palace after she was done with her work. She went to soothe the devil. Ningxi cooked a scrumptious meal. After dinner, she took the initiative to wash the dishes. At night, after putting Little Bun to sleep, she seized the opportunity to go to Lu Tingxiao and massaged his shoulders and legs. Lu Tingxiao was sitting on the sofa. He looked like he was still focused on the documents in his hands. However, in reality, the girl was kneeling beside him. Her soft, boneless hands were massaging his thigh muscles with just the right amount of force. When she moved up, she would occasionally touch some sensitive parts. Even if he had great self-control, he would not be able to concentrate. Finally, Lu Tingxiao couldn't take it anymore. He pinched his eyebrows and threw away the documents in his hand. He grabbed the girl's wrist and lifted her up, instantly pulling her onto his lap. All right, tell me what's the matter. Ningxi sat on Lu Tingxiao's lap, blinked her eyes and said weakly to her fingers. Boss, how did you know I had something to do? Lu Tingxiao glanced at her expressionlessly. You're unaccountably solicitous. Ningxi broke out in a sweat and said righteously. What? No way. I'm not a traitor or a thief, okay? Lu Tingxiao wrapped his arms around the girl and leaned back on the sofa in a relaxed manner. What's that? Ningxi tried to choose her words carefully. It's really nothing. It's just, I've made an appointment with Zhuangku to eat and go shopping tomorrow. If I remember correctly, I have an appointment with you. Lu Tingxiao's face darkened. Right. I'm sorry. I only thought of it when I agreed to it. But after I agreed to it, I really couldn't bring myself to say no. So, you can bring yourself to say yes to me. Lu Tingxiao's face was completely dark. Ningxi immediately hugged his neck and rubbed her cat-like head against his chin. Of course I can bring myself to say yes to you. Zhuangke is an outsider and you're my wife. Don't you think we're friends? Chapter 882. Ningxi said, Zhuangke is an outsider, but you are my wife. Don't you think we're friends? Lu Tingxiao. How could he say no? Lu Tingxiao kept a straight face and his thin lips were tightly pursed. His expression was frosty as he said, yes. Ningxi immediately bit the man's chin happily like a cat that had stolen a fish. I know you love me the most, boss. Lu Tingxiao glanced at the girl's unruly behavior just because he liked her, and he felt helpless in his heart. He spoiled her so much. Who could he blame? However, thinking that her spoiled, willful and even unreasonable side belonged only to him, he was extremely satisfied. You can see her, but you are not allowed to cross the line. Lu Tingxiao put forward the condition seriously. Obviously he was referring to the thing that she had done to Zhuangke in bed that day. Yes, don't worry, I won't. In fact, it's normal for girls to be intimate. Don't be so nervous, I don't like women. Ningxi said helplessly. Lu Tingxiao didn't speak but just glanced at her, obviously doubtful. Noticing Lu Tingxiao's obvious disbelief, Ningxi narrowed her eyes and pushed the man down on the sofa. She lowered her voice and said, Don't you know whether I like men or women? Lu Tingxiao held the back of the girl's head and kissed her hard. I need to know more. The next day, Ningxi would rather arrive early than late for a date with a girl, so she arrived 20 minutes earlier. When she was about to arrive at the appointed place, she received a call from Zhuangke. On the other end of the phone, Zhuangke sounded a little anxious. Xiaoxi, have you arrived? Yes, I just arrived. Ningxi answered. Sorry, Xiaoxi, there seems to be a traffic accident ahead. The road is very congested. I'm afraid I'll be late. I'm really sorry. It doesn't matter. I'll walk around nearby and wait for you. Don't worry, take care. Safety is more important, okay? Okay. After hanging up the phone, Ningxi wandered around the mall. This was the largest high-end shopping mall in the capital, with many luxury brands. Basically, all the big brands you could think of could be found here. On the contrary, the strength and reputation of a brand store that could appear here were definitely not low. As he was casually strolling around, he caught a glimpse of a shop opposite him that was decorated in an ancient style. Ningxi stood in front of the store and couldn't help but stop. This was History's new store. Looking up at the history sign above her head, Ningxi felt a little emotional. Although her studio had begun to make profits, it still mainly received private orders. At present, there was not a single brand store. With the purpose of learning and investigating, Ningxi was ready to go in for a stroll. Welcome to History. The sweet voice of the shop assistant came from inside. Miss, what style would you like to buy? A shop assistant enthusiastically came over to serve her. Ningxi pushed up her sunglasses. Just walk around, don't worry about me. Alright, if you need anything, please feel free to call me. Yes. After all, this was Century City, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. History's store had obviously been renovated at a high price. From the inside to the outside, it exuded high-end luxury. In order to match the style of the clothing, the decoration style was also Chinese, using flower and bird screens, mahogany chairs, rattan sofas, antique vases, and other furnishings, giving people a feeling of transmigration. Chapter 883. Of course, the most important thing was the clothes. Zhuangke hadn't come and Ningxi was too focused on her research to notice the time. Seeing that Ningxi didn't want to buy it after looking at it for so long, the shop assistant was a little unhappy. She looked Ningxi up and down and her face became even more unfriendly. Miss, today is the weekend and it's the peak time. There are many customers in the store. If you don't want to buy it, can you go somewhere else? Don't disturb our business. Ningxi was about to speak when the shop assistant suddenly looked past her and walked towards the door enthusiastically. Miss Jean, please come in. You've come at the right time. We have a new batch of goods today. You must like it. Ningxi subconsciously turned around and saw Ning Xueluo's two close friends, Ying Fonglin and Jin Xianxian. The shop assistant knew that these two were Ning Xueluo's good friends, and were rich young ladies with great purchasing power, so she was very enthusiastic. Ying Fonglin saw Ningxi in the store and looked at her as if she was a fly. Xiaochen, why do you serve all kinds of people? What happened just now? Jin Xianxian asked. The shop assistant took a look at Ningxi. Miss, do you know her? She looked at it for a long time and didn't buy it. And she was wearing Zailing's clothes. I suspected that she was deliberately looking for trouble, so I was persuading her to go somewhere else. Ningxi was a little amused. Couldn't she enter a Hermes store because she was wearing Chanel's clothes? However, this gave her a piece of information. It seemed that the insiders of history were keeping a close eye on Zailing, to the point of guarding her to the death. Otherwise, it would be impossible for even a shop assistant to be so hostile to Zailing, to the point of being able to recognize the clothes she was wearing at a glance. Ying Fonglin crossed her arms and said sarcastically, "Oh, people like her who can't afford high-end goods and can only buy cheap imitations are just looking for trouble." Jin Xianxian seemed to suddenly think of something and said in an exaggerated tone, "Oh, Ningxi, where's your black card?" "Yes, didn't you do a good job last time? Why don't you take it out now?" "Why? Dumped." "What are you talking about?" "Hey Ningxi, you're here too." Ning Shui walked in from outside. "Miss." The employees in the store greeted Ning Shueluo when they saw her. Ying Fonglin walked over and held Ning Shueluo's arm intimately. "Shueluo, you're here. This woman is like a haunting ghost. How dare she come and tarnish your store?" Ning Shueluo said gently, "Fonglin, don't say that. He's a customer and our service motto is that the customer is God. We still have to see what kind of customers they are. After all, you're a high-end brand. If customers see that these riffraff people are also buying your brand, it's going to ruin your brand." At this moment, a voice suddenly came from behind. This wrap all of these up for me." Hearing the familiar voice, Ningxi subconsciously raised her head and saw Zhuangke standing there with a cold face, pointing to a row of clothes and saying to the shop assistant, Okay, I'll help you pack it up. Do you want all of these? The receptionist didn't expect that before she could say a word, such a big order suddenly fell on her. She was immediately excited. Yes, all of them. Miss Zhuang. Seeing her, Ning Xueluo's eyes suddenly lit up. She directly left Ningxi and the others and took the initiative to go forward. I didn't expect that Miss Zhuang also likes history's clothes. What an honor. Chapter 884. Who are you? Zhuangke looked arrogantly at the woman who suddenly came to talk to her. Miss, this is the boss of our store. The shop assistant hurriedly introduced. Miss Zhuang, my surname is Ning. This is my business card. Ning Xuelua handed over a business card, then looked at the shop assistant and said directly, Miss Zhuang, these clothes are free of charge. Zhuangke frowned slightly. What do you mean, boss? Ning Xuelua smiled. It's our honor that Miss Zhuang likes history's clothes. These clothes are a little token of my appreciation. Seeing that our clothes can be worn by the people who are most suitable for it, this makes me happier than making profits. At this time, Ying Fenglin and Jin Xianxian were whispering, Miss Zhuang? Which Miss Zhuang? There are so many clothes. They add up to hundreds of thousands, and Xuelua actually gave them away. Surname Zhuang. Could she be the daughter of General Zhuang's family in the capital? Jin Xianxian thought and came forward to talk to her. Miss Zhuang, no wonder you like history's clothes. You have such a classical temperament. Wearing this style of clothes is perfect. Thinking of the opportunity to get to know the daughter of the capital's top aristocratic family, Ying Fenglin naturally did not want to be outdone. Yes, especially this white one, it's especially suitable for you. There are some other new styles in the store. Would Miss Zhuang like to try? At this time, Ningxi had been completely squeezed behind by a few people. Seeing that Zhuangke was buying clothes, she could not leave directly, so she sat down on the sofa, thinking that they would leave together after Zhuangke bought the clothes. At this time, the shop assistant who had just served Ningxi saw that Ningxi was still here and refused to leave, especially when he thought that when he was arguing with Ningxi just now, he caused such a big order for Zhuangke to be snatched away by someone else. However, at this time, there was a distinguished guest, so it was not good for her to chase her away. She could only stare at her with disdain. Ningxi, on the other hand, was calm, holding her chin and looking in Zhuangke's direction, like a man waiting for his girlfriend to buy clothes after a long while. Zhuangke finally bought the clothes. Miss Zhuang, your clothes are all packed. The shop assistant sorted out the big and small bags of clothes one by one. Okay. Zhuangke nodded. Ning Xuelua glanced at the clothes and said considerately, They seem to be a little heavy. Miss Zhuang, I'll have someone send them directly to your residence. No need. Zhuangke directly refused. Also, thank you for your kindness. However, there is no need for a free bill. Ning Xuelua's original intention was to make friends with Zhuangke. She had achieved her goal after chatting for a while. She knew that Zhuangke would not easily accept gifts from others, so she did not insist and asked the shop assistant to give her a discount. Welcome back, Miss Zhuang. If there is the latest model next time, I will ask the shop assistant to keep it for you. Ning Xuelua was about to send her out, but Zhuangke, who had paid the bill, did not walk out. Instead, she walked straight behind them. Xiaoxi, have you bought it? Ningxi looked up and asked with a smile. Zhuangke nodded repeatedly, and then suddenly stuffed all the big and small bags in her hands in front of Ningxi. Here you go. Ah. Ningxi was stunned for a moment. For me? Zhuangke seemed to be a little embarrassed and pursed her lips. Her watery eyes were unusually bright, with a trace of childlike expectation for praise. Yes, for you. Don't you like this brand of clothes? Chapter 885. When Zhuangke was outside, she saw through the glass cabinet that Ningxi was looking at those clothes very attentively. Later, when she came in, she happened to see the scene of her being ridiculed by the staff and the other women, so she couldn't help but buy these clothes for her. Ningxi looked at the girl's serious expression, as if she wanted to make her happy and support her. She felt that her heart was about to melt. How could she be so cute, At this moment, looking at the scene in front of them, Ying Fonglin and Jin Xianxian looked at each other, and the staff were all dumbfounded. No one had expected that this distinguished customer, whom their boss treated so politely, would know this customer who couldn't afford to buy clothes but refused to leave. Moreover, they seemed to be very close. The most embarrassing thing was that they all thought that Miss Zhuang liked the clothes in their store, and kept praising her for her good temperament and taste. But in the end, it turned out that she didn't like the clothes in their store at all. She just bought them for someone else. At this moment, the most shocked person was Ning Xuelua. Since when did Ning Shi have such a relationship with Zhuang Ku? After learning about Zhuang Lingyu's background, she had been trying to get in touch with the Zhuang family for a long time. She thought that Zhuang Ku, who was about the same age as her, would be the best target. Unfortunately, the gap between their identities was too big, and it was too difficult to find a suitable opportunity to get in touch with her. Today she had finally met Zhuang Ke, who had taken the initiative to visit her store. It was a great opportunity that had fallen from the sky. Who knew that the moment she turned around, the opportunity had turned into a stick that smacked her right in the face. Xiaoxi. What's wrong? Zhuang Ke was actually very meticulous and sensitive. She seemed to have noticed something and asked uneasily, Did I make a mistake? You don't like this brand of clothes? Ning Shi didn't want to lie to her, so she nodded and said directly, Yes, I really don't like it. Hearing this, Ning Xuelua gritted her teeth so hard that they almost broke. Damn it, this bitch did it on purpose. How dare she deliberately slander Histidi in front of Zhuang Ke? What a stubborn duck. She didn't like it, yet she came to see it for so long? If Ning Shi's words were a little more euphemistic, she could take the opportunity to make friends with Zhuang Ke. At that time, it would not be a problem to give Ning Shi a few more clothes. In the end, Ning Shi, this bitch, actually said such a thing. Humph, this bitch thought that she had hit her. Didn't she know that her blunt refusal was simply making Zhuang Ke lose face in front of so many people? Zhuang Ke was such a proud young lady. Even if she had a good relationship with you, how could she tolerate Ning Shi's impudent and rude behavior? I see. I thought you liked it. Zhuang Ke's eyes dimmed a little. Ning Shi looked at the girl who was obviously at a loss. Her eyes were full of intimacy and true love. She said slowly, I didn't like you at first, but what? Zhuang Ke looked nervous. Ning Shi took the bag from one of Zhuang Ke's hands, then naturally held her other hand, turned to her, and gave her an extremely doting smile. But love me, love my dog. Chapter 886. The moment the horse and touching love me, love my dog ended, Zhuang Ke's heart felt as if it was wrapped in warm seawater. Her original nervousness and insecurity dissipated, as if she was being comforted by a gentle hand, gently stroking her head and comforting her. Ever since she was a child, her father had given her and her brother a military-style education. Her mother was also very strict with her. She had never felt so pampered before. Zhuang Ke looked at her hand held by Ning Shi and felt the girl's soft and warm palm. Suddenly, she put all the clothes in her other hand on the sofa and threw the bags in Ning Shi's hand over. Then, she took Ning Shi's arm and said happily, Since you don't like them, let's go shopping at the places you like. As Zhuang Ke said this, she happily pulled Ning Shi out of the shop. The clothes that were praised by Ning Xuelua, Ying Fonglin, Jin Xianxian and the shop assistants just now were thrown in the shop without even looking at them. Boss, this. At this time, a shop assistant finally reacted and looked at the clothes awkwardly. Ning Xuelua suppressed the surging emotions in her heart and calmed herself down. Return all the money that Miss Zhuang just paid to her account. The shop assistant nodded repeatedly. Okay. Ying Fonglin looked at the direction in which Ning Shi and Zhuang Ke left with a surprised face. Xuelua, what the hell is going on? Why is Zhuang Ke so nice to that country bumpkin Ning Shi? Jin Xianxian curled her lips. Who knows what kind of crooked tricks that bitch used? Ying Fonglin snorted coldly. What kind of family is the Zhuang family? They are not people she can associate with. If Zhuang Ke's two superiors find out that someone dares to lead their daughter astray, she will suffer. Hearing this, Ning Xuelua's eyes suddenly lit up. If she planned it well, maybe she could take this opportunity to completely eliminate all future troubles. Otherwise, if Ningxi really had any relationship with the Zhuang family, it would be troublesome. Zhuangke was happily shopping with Ningxi when her phone rang. It was the latest message from the bank, showing that the money she had just paid at Histedy was returned. What happened? It's nothing. The shop just refunded me the money I spent on the clothes. She naturally knew what Ning Xuelua was thinking. There were too many people like her, so she did not take them to heart. However, there was one thing that caught her attention. Zhuang Kuer seemed to have thought of something. She looked at Ning Shi and asked hesitantly, "Cici, do you have any grudges with those people just now? Do you need help?" Looking at Zhuang Kuer's concerned eyes, Ning Shi felt warm in her heart. "It's okay. He's just an insignificant person. If there's anything you need, you must let me know." "All right. By the way, Xiaoxi, the clothes you're wearing are so beautiful. What brand is it?" "I heard them say something about Ling. Do you like this brand of clothes?" Zhuang Kuer's eyes were shining, and she looked like she was going to buy all of them for her. Ning Shi chuckled. "It's Zailing. It has a similar style to History, so we can be considered competitors. But this brand has just started and doesn't have the influence that History has now." Chapter 887. It doesn't matter. Liking is the most important thing. Let's go buy it. Zhuang Kuer said excitedly. "No need." Ning Shi said. "Ah, why? In fact, you don't have to feel guilty. My family and I are very grateful to you for saving my grandpa. But it's disrespectful to give you money directly, so I just want to help you as much as I can." Ning Shi said gently. "I know what you mean. As I said, it's just a piece of cake. You don't have to worry about it. If you always treat me as your benefactor, I will really feel pressured. I'm really happy with you and we get along well, so I want to make friends with you." Me too, me too." Zhuang Kuer nodded repeatedly. "So just take it as a gift from me to your friend." Ning Shi laughed. "You really don't have to. Zailing is my own brand." "Ah, really?" Zhuang Kuer was surprised and delighted. Then Ning Shi and Zhuang Kuer chatted and shopped as if they had endless topics to talk about. Before they knew it, it was already evening. They found a place to sit down and have dinner. Zhuang Kuer listened to Ning Shi telling her about the interesting things she had done abroad and some ingenious opportunities to establish Zailing Studio. Her eyes were full of yearning. "Xiaoxi, I envy you so much. You live such a free and wonderful life. You have encountered so many interesting things. You have someone you like and you have a dream and a goal to work hard for. Every day is so fulfilling." Ning Shi didn't expect that she would be envied one day. Speaking of envy, you should be the one who should be envied by everyone, right? Now, although she was walking towards the light step by step, there was also darkness and despair behind her. Zhuang Kuer gave a wry smile. "Yes, I have everything and can get anything I want easily. But I have been doing everything step by step according to my family's expectations since I was a child. I don't know what I want at all, nor do I want to do anything in particular. The premise of everything I do is to abandon my selfishness and take family's honor as the premise. Isn't this a kind of tragedy? Everyone has their own troubles. Even the richest man in the world is the same. Just like how people know the temperature of the water they drink." Ning Shi said and couldn't help but think of Zhuang Rongguang. She suddenly realized that Zhuang Kuer and Zhuang Rongguang were polar opposites. Zhuang Kuer completely obeyed all the arrangements of her family, and was raised to be the most perfect lady and socialite, while Zhuang Rongguang was completely rebellious, completely subverting the expectations of his family and growing up wantonly. After dinner, Ning Shi took Zhuang Kuer to the arcade city. It was hard to imagine that it was Zhuang Kuer's first time in the video game city. Everything she saw was new. "Hubby, I want that long-eared rabbit." "Okay, wait, hubby will help you. I'm not bragging, your husband is an expert at picking up dolls. Hubby is the best. You can do it, hubby." "What are they doing?" Zhuang Kuer looked curiously at the row of glass cabinets next to them. It was filled with all kinds of cute dolls. In front of one of them, a man stuffed a few pieces of hard skin into the hole, and then focused on pressing the red button on it. "Pick up dolls, 1 chance for 1 coin. Want to play?" Ning Shi asked. Chapter 888. But I don't know how to. Zhuangkua hesitated. It's okay. Try it. Ningxi stuffed a few coins in and taught Zhuangkua. Well, Xiaoxi, which one do you like? I'll catch it for you. Zhuangkua was eager to try. Unfortunately, Zhuangkua was a bit unlucky. She didn't catch a single doll after putting in 10 coins. She almost cried. Ha ha ha, beautiful, you can't do that. There are techniques to catch dolls. Don't you know that you're just giving us money? The man next to her said in a proud tone after putting in 3 coins and catching a doll. Seeing that Ningxi and Zhuangke were both rare beauties, his eyes almost glued to them. His girlfriend was right next to him, but he dared to flirt with them. What do you think? Do you need my help? You bastard. You can't walk when you see a pretty girl, right? I'm not dead yet. Oh, I'm just helping you for your own good. The noise here soon attracted the attention of some single guys in the video arcade. Soon several of them came up. After all, most of the people here were couples or boys. Girls like Ningxi and Zhuangke, who were both beauties, were really rare. Beauty, which one do you want? Let me help you. Get out of here. Your stinky hands. Beautiful sister, let me do it. I'm very good. I promise within 3 times, no. Within 2 times, I'll catch it for you. After her 18th failure, Zhuangke was completely frustrated. She had been praised as smart and excellent since she was a child. She didn't expect that she would fail in such a small game. Moreover, she just said that she would catch a doll for Ningxi. It hurt her self-esteem. In addition, the boys next to her kept chattering and fawning on her, which made her feel even worse. Ningxi glanced at the teenagers who were obviously young and should be students. They were trying to hook up with girls. She continued to put in 12 coins unhurriedly. Let me do it. Okay. Zhuangke nodded dejectedly and gave up her position. You point and I'll catch it. Ningxi said to Zhuangke. I wanted to catch that rabbit for you, but I just couldn't catch it. Zhuangke said angrily. Okay. Ningxi glanced at the glass cabinet and pressed it down with a paw sound. Hey, beauty, you can't do that. Don't you know that there are techniques to catch dolls? That rabbit's position is very difficult to catch. Catch the one near the entrance. You pressed it too fast just now. He had to find the right time. Don't press it randomly. Hearing the noise, Ningxi turned her head and glanced at the youngsters beside her. Shut up, you're so noisy. Do you guys have too little homework? Why aren't you home so late? Oh, this beautiful sister is so fierce. But it's so cool. Ah, beautiful sister, you caught him, you caught him. At this time, several people suddenly began to shout. Zhuangke was also surprised. Xiaoxi, you really caught it. She had clearly just pressed it casually, but she really caught it. She was so lucky. Ningxi calmly took out the rabbit and stuffed it into Zhuangke's arms. Then she continued to catch. Then the little pig, the little yellow chick, the little white sheep, and the little tiger. Ningxi actually used the 12 coins to catch a whole 12 zodiac animals. Behind her, the youngsters who were still clamoring looked at the plush dolls in Zhuangke's arms. They were so shocked that their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Chapter 889. Wow, sister, you're awesome. What a great chance. Goddess, please accept my kowtow. Can you teach me how to do it? I also want to learn. If I learn it, I won't have to worry about flirting with girls. Go back and do your homework, okay? You're still young, and you're already thinking about flirting with girls. Ningxi helped Zhuangke get a few dolls, took her hand and turned to leave. Zhuangke looked at Ningxi with sparkling eyes, full of admiration. Behind her, the teenagers muttered, We're still young. What's wrong with that? You're a girl and you're so good at flirting with girls. You're not giving a man a way out. After coming out of the arcade, Zhuangke happily carried a bag of dolls that Ningxi had caught for her. Her face was flushed with excitement. Xiaoxi, I'm so happy today. Me too. Can we hang out again next time? Zhuangke asked expectantly. Of course. Great. Zhuangke was overjoyed. As they walked along the road, Zhuangke stole a glance at Ningxi and then at her again. What's wrong? Ningxi asked. Zhuangke immediately shook her head. but her face became redder and redder as if she was thinking of something. Ningxi chuckled. Just say it. We're friends, aren't we? Zhuang Ke hesitated and finally stopped. Then she stammered, Xiaoxi, I have a presumptuous request. Tell me, as long as I can do it. Ningxi looked at her and said without hesitation. Zhuang Ke's slightly swaying eyes reflected the moonlight above her head. She looked at her expectantly and said, Can I see my male god? Ningxi raised her eyebrows slightly when she heard this. She was obviously taken aback. Meet her Prince Charming? Did Zhuang Ke mean she wanted to see her in men's clothes? If she wanted her to wear men's clothes, it wouldn't be difficult. However, Lu Tingxiao was a vinegar jar. If he accidentally found out about it, she would have to spend a lot of effort to appease him. Seeing that Ningxi did not speak, Zhuang Ke hurriedly apologized. I'm sorry. I know my request is too presumptuous. Just pretend I didn't say anything. Ningxi thought for a while and looked at Zhuang Ke carelessly. Of course you can. Moreover, you will have many opportunities to meet your idol in the future. Ningxi said in a joking tone. What? Many opportunities? Zhuang Ke didn't quite understand what she meant. I just took a role in a new show recently. It's a girl dressed as a man, Ningxi replied. Ah, really? Zhuang Ke was so excited that she didn't even care about her ladylike demeanor and screamed. Sure, this is a secret. You can't tell anyone. Well, I won't tell anyone, Zhuang Ke immediately said. When we start filming, I can tell the director that you're my friend and ask you to visit me. As long as it doesn't affect the filming, it shouldn't be a problem to not reveal the content of the filming. Zhuang Ke looked excited. Really? That was great. I will definitely not reveal it. Actually, I've always been curious about how the show is filmed. Seeing how happy Zhuang Ke was, Ningxi also heaved a sigh of relief. If this was the arrangement, it wouldn't be a one-on-one meeting. The devil wouldn't be angry, would he? Sigh, she had really racked her brains. Chapter 890. Xiaoxi, thank you. Thank you. I really like you. Zhuang Ke turned around and hugged her. There was nothing more delightful than being hugged by such a lovely girl. Ningxi smiled. I like you too. At this moment, a car's headlights shone over, and then, a black Maybach slowly stopped beside the two of them. The car door opened and a pair of slender legs stepped out. Then, Lu Tingxiao, who was covered in frost, suddenly appeared in front of her. At this moment, Ningxi almost knelt to the heavens. Damn it, are you kidding me? Why did it happen again? Why was she caught by the devil every time she did something bad? She was so tired. Ningxi hurriedly let go of Zhuang Ke. Lu Tingxiao, why are you here? Lu Tingxiao's face darkened. To pick you up. Ningxi suddenly remembered what Lu Tingxiao said to her last night. He could see her, but she was not allowed to cross the line. Now, she was slapped in the face as soon as she made that promise. I was going to send you home. Zhuang Ke was obviously unhappy to see Lu Tingxiao. She felt that Lu Tingxiao was not worthy of Xiaoxi at all. He was as cold and hard as a rock and had a scary expression all day long. Xiaoxi was so pitiful. Was Xiaoxi really forced to be with him? The more Zhuang Ke thought about it, the more worried she became. Avoiding Lu Tingxiao, she pulled Ningxi aside and whispered, Xiaoxi, don't be afraid of him. If he bullies you, you must tell me. Don't force yourself. Although I can't do anything about it, I can ask my father and grandfather for help. Ningxi looked at Zhuang Ke gratefully, then turned her head and looked at the great demon king behind her, who was watching her whisper to Zhuang Ke and had a frightening expression on his face. No wonder Zhuang Ke suspected that she was being bullied when she saw him like that. However, in fact, he had been indulging and spoiling her from the beginning to the end, even to the point that he had no principles. Ke, thank you, but don't worry. He won't bully me. Besides, I love him very much. I won't force myself to be bullied. I'm willing. When Lu Tingxiao heard this, his displeased expression turned into one of astonishment. It was the first time. The first time he heard Ningxi say something like this. She said she loved him. Happiness came so suddenly. Zhuang Ke had always found it hard to understand that Lu Tingxiao and Ningxi were a perfect match. At this moment, looking at Ningxi's extremely serious expression and the warmth in her eyes when she looked at Lu Tingxiao. He suddenly believed that the two of them really loved each other. I'm leaving. Let's hang out next time. Drive slowly. Ningxi said goodbye to Zhuangke. Zhuangke waved her hand reluctantly. Well, okay. While they were talking, Zhuangke's bag accidentally broke, and the dolls inside rolled all over the ground. Ningxi and Zhuangke. Lu Tingxiao bent down and picked up a rabbit. What are these? Holding a pile of dolls in her arms, Zhuangke said proudly, Xiaoxi helped me catch these dolls. Zhuangke held a pile of dolls in her arms and said proudly, Xiaoxi caught them for me. This one won't do. Lu Tingxiao said. He actually kept the rabbit for himself and refused to return it. Not this one. Lu Tingxiao said and kept the rabbit for himself. Zhuangke stomped her feet. Hey. Lu Tingxiao pinched the rabbit expressionlessly. It's mine. Ningxi was speechless. Great Demon King, can you be a little more childish? Chapter 891. Downstairs of the apartment. Then I'll go up first, good night. Ningxi was about to get out of the car when Lu Tingxiao suddenly reached out and grabbed her arm, stopping her from getting out of the car. Say it again. Huh? What did you say? Ningxi turned her head and looked at him, confused. What you said to Zhuangke just now. Lu Tingxiao stared at her, two clusters of sparks dancing in his cold eyes. What did I say to Zhuangke? Ningxi blinked, pretending to be confused. Zhuangke said I would bully you and your answer, Lu Tingxiao said. The sparks gradually spread into a sea. Oh, about that. Ningxi touched her chin, trying to recall, then said, Thank you, but don't worry, he won't bully me. Also, you won't feel wronged or forced. Also, willingly? Lu Tingxiao pursed his lips tightly as he didn't hear the words he wanted to hear. It was obvious that he was in a bad mood. Ningxi finally couldn't help but laugh. It was rare to see Lu Tingxiao so cute. The next second, she suddenly leaned close to him. Her hoarse and low voice seemed to have a bewitching power. Accompanied by her warm breath, it rang in his ear. I love him very much. Then, before Lu Tingxiao could turn the tables, she turned around and ran away, waving her hands slyly as she ran. Oh yes, Smith. Lu Tingxiao cursed under his breath as he looked at the one that ran away after teasing him. He glanced at the fluffy white rabbit plushie from the corner of his eye and pinched the rabbit's ear as if punishing it. In the next few days, Ningxi continued to follow up on the situation at SF Company, but was told that the person in charge was on a business trip and hadn't returned yet, so she had to put this matter aside for the time being. The good news was that Ningxi played the role of the first love of the male lead in R18. Although she only appeared for a few minutes, it made her a little famous. After the movie ended, many people asked who played the role of the first love, but the result of the search on the internet turned out to be Liang Biqin. However, that face could not be Liang Biqin's no matter how he looked at it. Because there were too many people asking, the official Weibo of the film responded immediately. At the same time, the official Weibo account posted a stills of his first love in We Are 18, and a stills of Meng Chang'e in the world, and tagged Ningxi and Jiang Mai. After knowing who the actor was, everyone was stunned. The actress of First Love was actually the same person who played the role of Meng Chang'e, the demon concubine who brings disaster to the country and the world. In the world, Ningxi was seductive, enchanting, unruly and hot-blooded. In addition, she was dressed in an ancient costume with heavy makeup. So when she suddenly played a modern character, and it was such a pure and beautiful character, no one recognized her. Although a few of the audience had their suspicions, none of them dared to believe that it was really her. From the devastatingly beautiful Yao concubine female general to an 18-year-old young girl in the prime of her youth, such a huge leap was played by her without any sense of incongruity. She really was what she played. What made the fans even more excited was that the popular couple, Meng Chang'e and Sun Huanqing, had actually gotten together again in modern times. What was even more coincidental was that the ending of the two was a life and death separation, causing the netizens to sigh endlessly. At the same time, the couple's CP fans had grown once again. Chapter 892. When Han Momo knew that Ning Shi and Jiang Mai were in the same scene in this film, she went to the cinema to watch it 3 times just for these few minutes. There were many fans like Han Momo. Later, the producers even used the modern version of the world as a gimmick to attract the audience to the cinema. The investors also asked Shin Mian to give Ning Shi a big red packet as a thank you, and also hoped that she could cooperate with the promotion. Ning Shi really didn't expect such an unexpected gain. However, she certainly wouldn't refuse such a win-win situation. She reposted the official Weibo post and followed it to several roadshows. However, amidst the praises, it was inevitable that there were some other voices mixed in. Gradually, there were also some negative comments on the internet. This role should have been played by Liang Biqin, right? Why did it become Ning Shi in the end? Do you need to ask? Someone must have stolen the role. How shameless. She stole the role in order to curry favor with Jiang Mai. She must be crazy. She didn't even let go of a cameo. I really don't know what Jiang Mai sees in her. He's so stupid to be used by her. In fact, when Ning Shi was interested in the cross-dressing drama, the investment of the script was only 10 million yuan. It was just a small production. With her fame, although it was impossible for her to become the leading actress in a big production, she could still fight for a small production like this one. Unexpectedly, after Liang Biqin took over the film, she suddenly made such a big scene. It was a modern drama with the highest investment and a gathering of stars. Obviously, Liang Biqin had hired a water army. With the support of Su Yimo, the future proprietress of Shengshi Entertainment, she crazily slandered Ning Shi. Unfortunately, before Ning Shi and Lin Jiji could do anything, Shen Mian had already come forward to refute the rumor. She said that Liang Biqin had unilaterally torn up the contract and stood them up, so she had asked Ning Shi to come to their rescue. There was no such thing as stealing the role. She also severely criticized Liang Biqin's behavior and said that she would never use her in any of her movies in the future. In Shengshi Entertainment, Ning Shi received a call from Lin Jiji and needed to go to the company. In the corridor, she ran into Liang Biqin and the others. The opposition between Ning Shi and Su Yimo and her party was already on the table. As long as it wasn't a public place, there was no need to be polite even if they met, so neither side had any intention of paying attention to the other. Ning Shi just walked straight forward without looking sideways. Behind her, Liang Biqin deliberately raised her voice as if she was afraid that she couldn't hear her. Oh yes, did you know? That Shen Mian said that he would ban me and that he would never use me in his movies in the future. He's just a has-been director. Does he really think he's something? Isn't that so? Our 18-foot had such a huge publicity campaign, but they haven't even gotten back the money yet. You don't even know how to find a stronger backer. When Biqin's new movie comes out, Shen Mian's era will almost be over. By the way, what has Ning Shi been busy with recently? Have you accepted any new roles? She's just tied to Jiang Mai to promote Shin Mian's lousy movie. I haven't heard of any new roles. I think even if she did, it would be a mediocre one. If she had accepted a big production, it would have been publicized all over the world. Chapter 893. When they arrived at the company, Lin Jiji informed Ning Shi of the shooting schedule and time of the new show, and asked her to go back and prepare. A few days later, it was finally the day of the shooting. Because it was Ning Shi's first day there, she needed to try on her costume. In addition, her makeup was special, so it would take more time. So Ning Shi deliberately went to the set a lot earlier. As the female lead, Ning Shi had a separate makeup room, and the crew specially assigned a special makeup artist for her. After a while, Shen Hanchen, who played the male lead, and Qi Fang, who played the third male lead, arrived one after another. After greeting each other and having their makeup done, they sat on the side and waited. Both of them looked young, in their early 20s. Both of them were very good-looking. Perhaps because they had not been exposed to the entertainment industry, they naturally exuded a youthful aura. The rarest thing was that in the entertainment industry where plastic surgery was rampant, both of their looks were very recognizable. Shen Hanchen came from a well-off family and had been doted on since he was a child. At this moment, he was lying on the chair with his eyes slightly closed. There was a faint trace of Jiang Mai's shadow on him. Because of his dazzling appearance and flamboyant temperament, he was like a glowing object that could easily attract the attention of girls. It was very fitting for the image of the male lead in the show. Qi Feng, on the other hand, looked like a young boy. In fact, he was not very old, only 19 years old. When he spoke, 2 small canine teeth were faintly visible, which was very cute. Probably because his image was not good enough, he had not found a suitable role after signing with the company for more than a year. His agent was his aunt, who had always taken good care of him, and was reluctant to randomly arrange a role for him, until he auditioned for the 3rd male lead in Shen Mian's new show, Dreamseeker. Although it was only the 3rd male lead, the director was Shen Mian, who was known as the god of machines. When his aunt found out that he had passed the interview, she was ecstatic and immediately finalized the contract. "Hey, Brother Chen, I heard that the female lead is a great beauty. I wonder if she is as beautiful in real life as in the movie?" After all, Qi Feng was young and could not stay still. He could not help but start a conversation with Shen Hanchen. Shen Hanchen still closed his eyes and did not speak, as if he was not interested. Although he was also a newcomer, he was different from Qi Feng. He was a contracted actor of Fengxing Media, one of the 3 giants in the entertainment industry. He had been trained professionally for a long time, and the company's goal was to create a second Jiang Mai. Therefore, Shen Hanchen, who had a background in resources, was inevitably arrogant. He did not want to talk to Qi Feng, and did not want to talk with him. He was even more disdainful of the female lead who was being bragged about. She was just a 3rd-rate actress who played a supporting role. Even though she was the female lead, she was still the same as the others. She was just a supporting role for him, plus, he had already discussed it with his manager. If the woman's acting was really terrible, he would quit the cast even if he had to break the contract. For now, he could only trust Shen Mian's judgment. Previously, during their discussion, her agent had been analyzing the situation with him. She speculated that Shen Mian's insistence on filming on her own, and not accepting any investments or roles meant that she had a trump card. Otherwise, she wouldn't have dared to do what she did. And who knew what? Chapter 894. Qi Xian was more mature and didn't mind Shen Hanchen's cold attitude. She sighed and murmured worriedly, "I don't know what the director is thinking. He found such a woman to play the female lead role. When the time comes, how girly will the male lead be? Will this show really be popular?" After all, this was his first show, and it was related to his future. Back then, Shen Mian had indeed made a lot of people famous, especially the classic stars Moon and Sunday. Even the male lead in the show became popular. However, things were different now. It was a fact that Shen Mian had been going downhill all these years, not to mention that the investment for this show was so small. Forget it, he was just a newcomer. It was good enough that he had a role, especially with a famous director like Shen Mian. As for the rest, it was up to fate and luck. The entertainment industry was a place where luck was important. The 2 of them sat for a while before the 3rd female lead, Ji Yuming, arrived. "Wow. So beautiful." Qi Feng looked at the newcomer and couldn't help but exclaim. Shen Hanchen raised his eyelids and took a few more glances. Ji Yuming was indeed beautiful, and she had a lively, cute, and pure temperament. It was easy to arouse a man's desire to protect her. However, the beauty looked a little unhappy at the moment. She walked forward quickly with a huff, and her manager followed behind her, wiping away her sweat and trying to persuade her in a low voice. "I already said I don't want to play the 3rd female lead. Even a vixen like Ning, she can play the female lead. Why can't I?" "Lower your voice, my little ancestor. This is a set, not your home. Are you afraid that people won't hear you by speaking so loudly?" "If they hear me, then they hear me. I'm just not convinced. Last time, I saw Shen Mian speak up for that woman on the internet. I don't even know how she became the female lead." "Shut up. Be careful what you say outside. How many times have I told you? Don't talk about others. Don't you know your own situation? You definitely can't handle the female lead, and you're not even qualified to play the 2nd female lead. The 3rd female lead is the most suitable role for you. Do you think it's easy to play the female lead in this show? This kind of role is pleasing to the eye, but if you don't pay attention, you'll become a black mark." After being reprimanded, Ji Yuming temporarily suppressed her resentment. Her gaze fell on Shen Hanchen and Qi Fang, two handsome men with different temperaments but equally pleasing to the eye. Her eyes lit up and her expression softened. Which girl of this age wouldn't like to act with a handsome guy? Ji Yuming walked over and greeted them. Hello, I'm Ji Yuming. Hello, I am Qi Fang. Shen Hanchen. Shen Hanchen. I've heard of you. The most handsome guy in Beijing film, right? I've heard a lot about you. Qi Fang, were you the bassist of the band Joy? I have a sister who likes you very much. She thinks that you are very cute. Ha ha ha, I'm always praised for being cute, but why aren't there any beauties praising me for being handsome? Beauty Ji, you're not bad either. I heard that you were the first to enter Beijing Film Academy. When Ji Yuming wasn't angry or throwing a tantrum, she was quite easy to get along with. Because of the lively and cheerful Ji Yuming's addition, and the fact that the three of them were all young people, they quickly got along. Sigh, it seems that Director Shen is going to use our looks to prop up this show. Qi Fang spread out his hands and teased. Ji Yuming puffed her cheeks. I'm so afraid that I won't be able to act. Even if she's a woman dressed as a man, she's still a woman. I'm drooling over a woman, and I even have to sit on her lap for today's scene. Oh my god, just thinking about it gives me goosebumps. Chapter 895. Qi Fang burst out laughing and secretly glanced at Shen Hanchen. You should be content. There's someone here who's even more miserable than you. Ji Yuming nodded and couldn't help but laugh. That's right. Hanchen has to pretend that he can't tell that a sissy is a man. He calls him brother and talks about love. Shen Hanchen's expression didn't look too good as he listened. The few of them were chatting in full swing when a young man walked in their direction. That person had a head of slightly messy black hair and bangs that covered some of his eyes. He was wearing a slightly exaggerated tattered pair of jeans, a leather motorcycle jacket, and black marten boots. His whole body exuded a sharp and penetrating aura. Shen Mian, who was in the middle of setting up the set, saw the man and walked up to talk to him. After seeing Shen Mian, the young man's arrogant aura disappeared. He lowered his eyes and listened attentively, nodding from time to time. The director's assistant attentively handed him a bottle of water. The man reached out to take it and smiled gratefully at the girl. When this man was talking to the director, his expression did not change. However, when his gaze fell on the girl who handed him the water, the atmosphere around him suddenly changed. It was warmer than the winter sun, softer than the spring water, and so doting that it could drown a person to death. Then, the little assistant covered her reddened face and ran away. The moment she saw the man, Ji Yuming suddenly stopped talking. After a long while she stammered, Who is that? The person who is talking to the director. The male lead, the third male lead, and the third female lead are all here. The second female lead will join the cast in a few days. Only the female lead and the second male lead haven't arrived yet. So, it should be the second male lead, Kumingyu? Qi Fang guessed. Then the instinctive rejection of those who were stronger than him made him suddenly vigilant. Fuck. He wasn't the handsome type to begin with. It was bad enough that the male lead, Shen Hanchen, was suppressing him. Now that the second male lead was also so handsome, how could he still have a sense of existence in this film? Kumingyu? At that moment, Shen Hanchen's expression completely changed. He suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. He had inquired about the lead actors in advance. Kumingyu's appearance and temperament were clearly very ordinary. How could this be? Was there a mistake somewhere? However, just as he was comforting himself, the director had already walked in their direction with the man. Shen Mian clapped her hands and beckoned them over. Come, let me introduce you. Shen Hanchen's expression instantly tensed up. He didn't think that it would really be the second male lead. As the saying goes, two tigers cannot share one mountain. But Shen Mian found someone like this to play the second male lead. What was the meaning of this? Ji Yuming, whose gaze had been lingering on Shen Hanchen, was now completely glued to the man in front of her. She was still immersed in the man's gentle smile. This is Shen Hanchen, who plays the male lead. This is Qi Fang, one of the male lead's roommates. This is Ji Yuming, who plays the female lead's best friend. Shen Mian introduced them to Ningxi one by one, then looked at the other three and said, "This is Ningxi, the female lead of our movie." Chapter 896. What a... Qi Feng was about to say hello to Kumingyu when he heard the director's last words. He was dumbfounded and even picked his ears. "Director, what did you just say?" Ji Yumeng looked suspicious. "Director, did you make a mistake? Isn't he the second male lead, Kumingyu?" Shen Mian looked at the three young people, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. "Who told you he's the second male lead?" Shen Hanchen looked at the man in front of him with a dull expression. She's Ningxi?" Qi Feng asked. "Is she the female lead?" Ji Yumeng said. "Director, are you sure? Stop fooling around, director." Shen Mian shook her head with a smile. "Ningxi, explain it to them." Ningxi looked innocent. "How do you want me to explain? It took me 2 hours to get the makeup done." She couldn't ask her to change into women's clothes for them to see, could she? Shen Mian coughed. She really couldn't refute that. How could she be the female lead? Also, she doesn't look like Ningxi. Oh, she does look a little like Ningxi. But something's wrong. Something's wrong. Director, you didn't find a man to play the female lead, did you? Ji Yuming's imagination ran wild. Qi Feng and Shen Hanchen thought about this possibility seriously. Shen Mian's face darkened. Were all kids so whimsical nowadays? Ningxi put a hand on her forehead and gave a helpless and indulgent smile. Then she picked up Ji Yuming's hand. Ji Yuming's heart suddenly raced. "You. What are you doing?" Qi Feng's eyes widened in displeasure. "Fuck, how could this brat hold a girl's hand so casually? I haven't even held a girl's hand yet. Director, don't you care?" However, the next second, Ningxi took Ji Yuming's hand and pressed it against her chest through her clothes. She said in a low voice, "Okay?" Yes, 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 yes. Breasts." Ji Yuming, who was pressing against Ningxi's chest, almost cried. "You're really a woman. You're really the female lead." Although he could feel that she had wrapped a strip of cloth around her chest, at such a close distance, he could still clearly feel the soft curve of her breasts. "Oh, fuck. We're both women. You have it, I have it too." He often attacked her chest with his roommates. How could she be so shy after just a light touch? Ah. Not to mention Ji Yumeng. Even Qi Feng's eyes widened and his face turned red. Shen Hanchen coughed lightly, looking a little uncomfortable. "Well, 2 tigers cannot live on the same mountain, unless there is a male and a female." Director Shen was very scientific. Shen Mian knocked Ningxi's head speechlessly. "That's enough. Don't mess around." Ningxi blinked her eyes. How was she fooling around? This was indeed the fastest and most effective way to prove it. "Sorry I'm late." At this time, a panting voice came from behind. The real Kumingyu had arrived. Just as they had expected, the second male lead, Kumingyu, looked rather ordinary. He had a gentle aura and wasn't aggressive at all. He didn't look like Ningxi at all. When his aura was fully unleashed, he was practically a walking flirt machine. His hormones were off the charts. After confirming that she was a woman, Shen Hanchen looked at Ji Yuming's excited expression, and the director's assistant who kept sneaking glances at them. Although he still felt uncomfortable, he relaxed a little. Women were still women. No matter how well they acted as men, they still had to act. How could they steal the limelight from him, the male lead? He was very confident in himself. Chapter 897. After Kumingyu's arrival, everyone got to know each other again. Kumingyu was more introverted. After talking to everyone for a while, he quietly sat in the corner and read the script. After a while, the props were finally set up. "Okay, everyone get ready. We're starting now. Ningxi Ji Yuming, get ready," Shen Mian said. The first scene was about the female lead's best friend being dumped by a scumbag, and the female lead comforted her. The female lead's real name was Ji Feixue, and she was currently replacing her brother, Ji Feibai. The secret that she was a woman was only known by her best friend, Ning Xiaoming. 3, 2, 1. Action. After the script was finished, the filming officially began. On the sofa in the living room, Ji Feixue had just finished showering, and was wearing loose men's pajamas. His wet hair was a little messy and his body was still steaming from the shower. He took a bottle of water from the fridge, sat on the sofa, and turned on the TV. Because she had been pretending to be a man for a long time. Ji Feishua's every move was almost like a man's. He didn't look like a woman at all, and he raised his head to drink the water. As he watched the TV, the living room door was pushed open from the outside. Ning Xiaoming was back. Ji Feishua greeted her casually as usual. "You're back?" Then the camera switched to Ji Yameng. "Yeah." Ning Xiaoming didn't look up and only responded sullenly. She was obviously in a bad mood. Although she didn't say anything, Ji Feishua immediately sensed that something was wrong with her and frowned. "What's wrong?" Ning Xiaoming dragged her feet slowly to Ji Feishua and didn't say a word. A few seconds later, Ning Xiaoming's shoulders trembled slightly and her body trembled more and more violently. The next second, tears fell onto the floor one after another. Camera 3 close-up. Shen Mian said, staring at the camera without blinking. Shen Hanchen, Qi Feng and Ku Mingyu were all watching the scene intently. In the camera, Ji Yaming stood in front of Ning Shi with her head lowered and her face hidden. But from the details of her body, it was obvious how sad she was. Qi Feng sighed. "She's indeed a top student. She's amazing." At this moment, Ning Shi moved. Ning Xiaoming didn't say anything, but Ji Feishua already knew what was going on. With a knowing expression, he grabbed Ning Xiaoming's hand and pulled her onto his lap. He wiped away her tears with his fingertips and said in a helpless tone, "Baby, don't be sad. Isn't it just a man? Where's your mother? She didn't give birth to you to be defiled by others, but to let you defile others." The moment she heard this, Ji Yaming felt as if something had struck her heart heavily. Ning Shi's gentle expression and comforting words immediately brought out the deepest grievance and pain in her heart and magnified it infinitely. She thought of her cheating ex-boyfriend. She thought of how he abandoned her to be with an already famous female artist in order to climb up the social ladder. She thought of that rainy night when she walked home alone. From beginning to end, she was alone. The next morning, she had to go to the company for training with a high fever. No one hugged her and comforted her. No one even said to her, "Your mother gave birth to you so beautiful not to let you be defiled by others, but to let you defiled others." Chapter 898. In an instant, Ji Yuming's tears flowed down like a broken dam. They were silent but heartbreaking, as if all the grievances she had suppressed for a long time had suddenly come gushing out along with her tears. Sometimes, the scariest thing was to be cared for. A few female staff members who were watching from the sidelines even began to cry. Ji Yuming's crying was too contagious. Ning Shi gently stroked Ji Yuming's back and comforted her. Okay, don't cry. You look beautiful when you cry, but my heart aches." "Very good. Done." Shen Mian shouted with satisfaction. Done. The first scene was finished in one take, and both of them performed so well. It was a good sign. However, even though Shen Mian had shouted cut, Ji Yaming didn't stop. She sat in Ning Shi's arms and cried her heart out. Ning Shi couldn't push her away at this time, so she continued to comfort her and pat her head. Shen Mian's mouth twitched. She glanced at Ning Shi and said, "Newcomers have low self-control, take it easy." Ning Shi was speechless. Is this my fault again? Actors' acting styles were divided into experiential and expressive. Shen Hanchen and Ji Yameng, who were trained in acting, mostly learned expressive techniques from school. Experiential actors, on the other hand, had higher requirements for talent. They couldn't be taught by words and actions. Only 1 in 10 million people could do it. Ning Shi belonged to the latter. She was a classic experiential actor. When acting, she could completely transform herself into another person, even reaching the realm of being one with nature. However, there were very few people like Ning Shi. Although these newcomers were talented, they had no experience. If he were to rely on himself as a director, it would take him at least a year or two to pass. His first film had been shot on and off for 2 whole years. Nowadays, most films took 2 or 3 months, and some were even released after a few days. No one would spend so much time on a film. He was prepared to fight a long battle for this film, but now it seemed the time could be greatly reduced. With Ningxi, it was like having a powerful cheating device. She could make the newcomers who acted with her quickly get into character and show their acting skills to the extreme. Just now, Ji Yuming's performance was inspired by Ningxi's acting skills. She used her own experience to play the characters in the play, which was almost equivalent to an experiential performance. Ji Yuming didn't know what was wrong with her. She had been acting perfectly fine, but she had suddenly lost control. By the time she came back to her senses, Ningxi was still comforting her gently, without the slightest bit of impatience. Even her shoulder was wet from her tears. Ji Yuming jumped up in embarrassment. I'm sorry. It's okay. Ningxi smiled good-naturedly and touched her head. You acted very well just now. In an instant, Ji Yuming's face flushed red from being patted on the head. Her face was so hot that an egg could be boiled. Mama. She was about to bend into a boomerang. Not far away, Kumingyu's eyes, which had always been calm, clearly shook a few times. Shen Hanchen frowned and had a thoughtful expression. Qi Feng, on the other hand, had black lines on his forehead and the corners of his mouth twitching. Fuck, who was the one who said that sitting on a woman's lap was too disgusting? He saw that she was so happy sitting there that she couldn't bear to get off, but now she was facing a woman with an expression of a young girl yearning for love. What was she doing? Did she think handsome men like them were dead? Chapter 899. After being praised by Ningxi, Ji Yuming immediately ran to the camera with her hands covering her face. Director, can I see what I just shot? Sure. Shen Mian naturally agreed. Ji Yuming rewatched the footage several times, and the more she watched, the brighter her eyes became. Oh my god. I acted so well just now. In addition to being excited by her own performance, Ningxi sat on her lap and comforted her softly in the video, which made her heart race. Especially the moment when Ningxi held her hand and pulled her down. She was so excited. At this time, Qi Feng also poked his head over to take a look. Some of the crew members cried with you just now. No wonder she's the #1 of Beijing film. She's already here. Ji Yuming's sudden performance naturally doubled the pressure on the rest of them. They were all newcomers and had similar beginnings, so it was inevitable that they would be compared to each other. They were also secretly competing with each other. Ji Yuming shook her head when she heard this, and her eyes glowed with a strange light. I've always been very confident in my acting skills, but there's no way I could act this well on my own. It's all because of Senior Ningxi. The feeling of acting with her is really amazing. I can't describe that feeling. It was as if a pair of hands were carefully holding me, guiding me step by step to the right place, to a higher place, not too fast, not too slow. I could feel that she was deliberately helping me get into character. Qi Feng scratched his head. Isn't that a bit too unbelievable? I've seen her under the heavens, and I admit that her acting skills are not bad, but there are many capable people in the entertainment industry. Behind the two of them, Shen Hanchen also glanced at the video. After seeing it with his own eyes, he also admitted that this woman's acting skills were not bad, but Ji Yuming's description was a bit too exaggerated. At most, this woman had an advantage in terms of appearance, so she was more like a man. Ji Yuming waved her hand. Oh, I can't describe it with words. Anyway, you'll know when you act with her later. She's really nice. It feels really good to act with her. It's a pity that I don't have a scene with the lead actress today. Qi Feng mumbled. Otherwise, he would really want to experience Ji Yuming's extravagant praise. Next, Shen Hanchen would definitely have a scene with Ningxi. In addition, the supporting actor Kumingyu would also have a scene with Ningxi. After the first scene, Ningxi went to the makeup room to change her clothes for the next scene. She also needed to make some slight changes to her makeup. Yi Qiu, the makeup artist, had already prepared all the clothes. Seeing Ningxi come in, she immediately put down the hanger in her hand and walked over. Have you finished shooting the first scene? So fast. Yes, it's over. We'll have to thank you for the next scene. Yes, it is. We'll have to thank you for the next scene. Ji Yi Shi's Hua the Yi the Mo family's Yan's Hua. After the makeup, Yu Yi Ji Chun Yi Qiu said, This you can do, Ji. It's Yan Ji, Wand Ming Shan S Yi Shi Qiu Ji, Yin said. Yin Shi Muem Yi Shan Yi. This GSMO Yi Jing okay? Is the size okay? Yi Qiu waited outside the fitting room for a while, then asked. Yes. Following Ningxi's answer, a fair and slender finger lifted the curtain, and Ningxi, who had changed, appeared in front of Yi Qiu. Chapter 900. He was wearing a British-style three-piece suit with a dark blue tie and a retro pocket watch with a silver pouch hanging in front of his chest. As the bead curtain opened and closed, Yi Qiu felt as if she was looking at a noble young master from the last century. I'll help you tidy up. Yi Qiu was inexplicably nervous, as if she was afraid of breaking some beautiful dream. Thank you, Sister Yi. Ningxi nodded and opened her arms slightly. She looked as if she was going to hug Yi Qiu. Yi Qiu's face heated up. She immediately reached out to Ningxi's collar and helped her tidy up her clothes, tie, and accessories. At this time, hurried footsteps came from outside the door all the way into the room, and then suddenly stopped in front of Ningxi. Although the tone was still very polite, there was a trace of displeasure in it. Sister Yi, let me do this kind of thing. Xiao Tao had just gone out to buy some desserts to reward the crew, but she didn't expect to see someone flirting with her boss as soon as she came back. This makeup artist had already tried to do something to Sister Shi when she was doing makeup in the morning. She couldn't stand it. I'm Ningxi's personal makeup artist. This is my responsibility, Yi Qiu said unhurriedly. After all, he was older, so he was more imposing than Xiao Tao. The makeup artist can do the makeup and I'll do the clothes. Of course I'm in charge of the clothes. I'm in charge of all her styles. Although you're her assistant, professional issues should be handled by professionals. But Xiao Tao obviously couldn't win against Yi Qiu. She looked at Ningxi with tears in her eyes. Seeing that the atmosphere was about to explode, Ningxi held Yi Qiu's shoulder and sat down. Sister Yi, you've been tired for a long time. Take a rest. Let Xiao Tao help you. If she does something wrong, please teach her. With just one sentence, both of them were appeased. Xiao Tao happily took over Yi Qiu's position. Ningxi was still standing on her side and speaking for her. Ningxi personally brought Yi Qiu a glass of water, and her tone was full of care and trust. Yi Qiu sat down on the chair happily. The tie is still a bit crooked. I'll fix it again. The back is wrinkled. I'll take it off and iron it. Yi Qiu was still a little excited when he recalled Ningxi's makeup in the morning. When she first saw Ningxi, with her professional eyes, she only felt that with Ningxi's perfect facial features, even if she dressed up as a man, her delicate face shape could make her gender indistinguishable. But when Ningxi walked out of the fitting room after putting on makeup and changing clothes, she was completely dumbfounded. She was clearly the one who had turned her into this. She had only gone in to change her clothes and come out. She was still the same person, but why did she give off a completely different feeling? A beautiful woman had actually turned into a living evildoer under her hands. Although she had observed Ningxi's facial features and judged that she wouldn't look too ugly if she dressed up as a man, she had never expected that she would be so stunning at this moment. She just stood there quietly, letting Xiao Tao bustle around her. Her entire body exuded a sense of leisure and laziness, but it was as if she had absorbed the radiance of the stars, making it impossible for others to look away. After Ningxi had completely tidied herself up, Yi Qiu hugged the glass of water, a little dazed. A minute of silence for the male lead. Chapter 901. Xiao Tao held her hands and stood a few steps away from Ningxi. A minute of silence for all the male characters in the play. Sister Shi. Pooh. Brother Shi. Why didn't I know that you are so handsome in men's clothes until now? Ningxi raised her eyebrows. Don't I look good in anything? Don't. Brother Shi, don't look at me like that. Xiao Tao covered her chest with her hands, as if she was about to be flirted to death. Ningxi chuckled and looked at herself in the mirror. Then she looked at Yi Qiu behind her. Thank you, Sister Yi. The makeup is perfect. Yi Qiu met Ningxi's eyes in the mirror, and her eyes were full of appreciation. You're welcome. It's because you have a good foundation. The contour is perfect without any flaws, and your skin is so good that I can't show it. Based on her professional experience, She could tell that Ningxi had never had plastic surgery. It was completely natural. Besides, wasn't this person's acting too good? She was a real woman, but she didn't feel strange at all when playing a man. What was even more exaggerated was that she didn't feel that Ningxi was acting at all. Instead, she felt that Ningxi was like this. That wanton and romantic charm was completely emitted from within her. And it wasn't an act. Outside, Shen Hanchen had also changed his clothes. Shen Hanchen had brought his own makeup artist, whose skills weren't inferior to Yi Qiu's. After the makeup was applied, his originally blessed face became even more dazzling, as if it had been sculpted by the hands of God. There were very few people in the entertainment industry who had this kind of appearance. Ah, my God. Hanchen is so handsome in formal clothes. He's so handsome. Ji Yuming was excited. The staff and the extras all looked at him in astonishment. Wow, he is so handsome. Is he the male lead? Yes. It is said that he is the trump card of Fengxing Media, and his appearance is as good as Jiang Mai's. No wonder Director Shen likes him at first sight. In the corner, Qi Feng curled his lips. He hated men who were more handsome than him the most, even though he had a cute image, but who asked something like a face to be born with. In order to seek comfort, he silently ran to stand with Kumingyu, who was even more miserable than him. In any case, he was quite recognizable. Cuteness was also a characteristic, but Kumingyu. It wasn't that he was ugly, but he was too ordinary. He was the kind of ordinary that couldn't be found in a crowd. Although the second male lead in the drama was not outstanding, wouldn't it be too casual to find such an ordinary person to play the second male lead? However, after seeing the way Shen Mian chose Ningxi, he didn't dare to judge Shen Mian's thoughts. Even though I'm gay, I have to admit that Shen Hanchen's face is really good. No wonder his company wants to make him the second Jiang Mai. Some people are born to do this, and it's the fate of the male lead. Qi Feng shook his head and sighed, hoping to get Kumingyu's approval. Kumingyu leaned against the pillar and glanced in Shen Hanchen's direction. His expression was indifferent, and he didn't have any special reaction. Shen Mian looked Shen Hanchen up and down with a satisfied expression, but there was a trace of imperceptible worry in her eyes. She beckoned Shen Hanchen over and told him about the scene. There are not many lines in this scene, and there is no big plot, but it is very difficult. Chapter 902. This scene is the first scene of the movie. Because of the preconceived notions, this scene can be said to be the first scene to establish the audience's influence on you. So, you must display your greatest charm and capture the audience's heart with one look. To put it bluntly, you must act cool, don't you? Shen Mian talked for a long time, but in the end she only had one core idea. This show had to amaze the audience. Moreover, it had to be the male lead and the cross-dressing male lead. The two of them had to be evenly matched. Shen Hanchen listened to Shen Mian's nagging for a long time, and responded with a few words, but he didn't think much of it. Instead of saying so much to him, he might as well talk to Ningxi. Ningxi should be the one he was most worried about, right? Naturally, Shen Mian noticed the young man's nonchalant expression. She looked a little helpless. She hoped that he could still be this relaxed and confident later. Ah! At this time, the assistant next to the director suddenly exclaimed, and a prop in her hand fell to the ground with a plop. The others subconsciously followed her gaze, and then saw Ningxi, who had changed her clothes and was walking towards them. The eyes of the actors who saw Ningxi for the first time almost popped out. There are so many handsome guys in this crew. Who is this? Aren't there only male and female leads in this scene? It can't be the female lead, right? Congratulations, you guessed it right. She is the heroine, Ningxi. Wow. Senior looks so handsome in this. It's perfect. Ji Yuming's gaze immediately shifted to Ningxi. She kept calling Ningxi Senior, completely unlike the way she had complained to her agent half a day ago. Shen Mian looked at Ningxi's outfit and nodded in satisfaction. He had spent a lot of money on costumes and props for this movie, and it seemed that the money was well spent. Qi Feng glanced at him and mumbled softly, "It's all right, I still think Hanchen is more handsome." The moment he saw Ningxi, although Shen Hanchen's expression tensed up, he wasn't too nervous. After all, he was already mentally prepared. Ningxi's men's clothing was indeed stunning, but when she stood next to him, she would definitely not be able to steal his limelight. He was tall enough to crush her. Looking at Shen Hanshin's confident expression, Shin Mian shook her head and didn't say anything. Since you're here, let's get ready to start. Hearing Shin Mian's words, everyone stopped talking and got into position. Action. With a pa sound, all the lights in the banquet hall were switched on. A small band was playing melodious music in the middle of the stage. Shin Hanshin was dressed in a black suit. His tall and slender figure stood at the end of the spiral staircase. On his left, Ningxi, who was dressed in white, stood quietly behind him, under everyone's astonished gazes. The two of them walked down the stairs one after another. Shin Hanshin's clothes were black, and the style was simpler and more refined than Ningxi's. At this moment, his hair was tied behind his head, and he was tidying up his cuffs with his eyes lowered. His entire body emitted an arrogant and domineering aura, and his expression didn't change in the slightest in the face of everyone's astonished gazes. He was exactly the noble and unreachable young master Xia in the script. At this moment, Shen Hanshin turned around and whispered something to Ningxi according to the script in the movie. Ningxi, who was originally following behind him and had no sense of existence because of him, glanced sideways at him after hearing the male lead's words and curled her lips into a faint smile. That smile bloomed layer by layer, turning into a carefree and unrestrained romantic charm. In an instant, all the extras gasped, and their gazes all fell on her. Even Shen Hanshin himself was stunned on the spot. Chapter 903. Everyone lost control of themselves as expected. The scene failed miserably. When Shin Mian yelled for them to start again, everyone was still confused and didn't realize what had just happened. Especially Shen Hanshin. He was the closest to Ningxi, so he was naturally the most shocked. In all fairness, he admitted that Ningxi was good in men's clothing, but it wasn't good enough to steal his limelight. When the two of them appeared together, everyone's eyes were on him. However, at the moment when Ningxi looked at him with a faint smile, her temperament suddenly changed. She was so casual that she attracted everyone's attention. How could this be? Help! Help me! My legs seem to be a little weak. Ji Yuming reached out to Qi Fang, unable to control herself. Oh, did you see that? Senior is so charming. In fact, Hanshin is indeed more outstanding in terms of appearance, but the moment Senior looked up and smiled, he was so fucking beautiful. No matter how handsome the others are, they're just like floating clouds. Qi Fang's face darkened. He didn't want to admit that just now as a man his heart raced. Looking at the staff and extras, there were also many men who were stunned by the scene just now. That kind of elegance had nothing to do with gender. Shin Mian, on the other hand, was very calm. She looked as if she had expected this. She walked to Shin Hanshin's side and continued to talk to him. She said in a joking tone, "Hanshin, work hard. Don't let a girl steal your thunder." Shin Hanshin nodded. This time he didn't dare to let his guard down. He finally understood why Shin Mian said so much to him. "Everyone, adjust yourselves. Let's do it again." Shin Mian said to the extras. "You guys performed very well just now. That's it. You have to be amazed and maintain this rhythm. Just don't stare at one person. It's these two people who are stunning you. One is arrogant and domineering, and the other is carefree and uninhibited. Each has their own merits, and they're evenly matched." Although she said so much, Shin Mian knew that the key was still Shin Hanshin. He had to show that he was as good as Ningxi, so the extras would give the most appropriate response. After all, the acting skills of the extras could not be too demanding. It would be best if they could perform naturally and realistically. Actually, if this scene could be done in one go, the effect would be the best. If it was done a second time, the extras would be mentally prepared, and the effect would be reduced. What a pity. After a short break, the second shoot began. "Alright, everyone get ready. The next match is about to begin." Shen Mian informed all the departments. Elder Brother Shi, the director is calling. Go quickly. Come on, Brother Shi." She didn't know when the crew started calling Ning Sisi brother like Xiao Tao. Ningxi returned everyone a smile, handed the thermos cup in her hand to Xiao Tao, and returned the thermos bag to Ji Yemeng. Then she walked toward the set. Shen Hanchen took a deep breath and steadied his mind. Just now he was just too shocked, so he lost his composure. This time he was prepared, so he definitely wouldn't do it again. He stared fixedly at Ning Shi, who was strolling leisurely across from him, closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, his posture and bearing were even more noble and imposing. Chapter 904. The melodious music started playing again, and the guests downstairs began to laugh and chat. Shen Hanchen walked down the stairs with steady steps. His walking posture had been specially trained, and he was even more attentive at this moment. His performance was obviously better than last time. His entire demeanor was dignified, and his aura was imposing. The extras also cooperated with him and revealed expressions of amazement. After walking downstairs, Shen Hanchen took the wine glass from the waiter's hand, then turned around naturally and spoke to Ning Shi, who was beside him. There were no lines in this speech. It only needed to show that the male lead was talking to the female lead. As for what exactly was said, the audience could guess for themselves. And what the audience would guess depended on the performance of the actors themselves. This time, Ning Shi raised her eyebrows and looked at Shen Hanchen with a faint smile. Her lips curled up into a faint smile that absorbed all the light in the sky. In an instant, the people next to her looked dim. There would be no harm if there was no comparison. Shen Hanchen's performance just now was not bad, but with Ning Shi's comparison, the domineering and handsome male lead now felt that his aura was too weak. They even felt that he was deliberately putting on an act, like a peacock spreading its tail. On the other hand, Ning Shi didn't even try to attract anyone's attention, but everyone couldn't take their eyes off her. Not only that, everyone realized that there was a spark hidden in the female lead's wanton and romantic eyes. That was the unspeakable feelings she had for Xia that were buried deep in her heart. This time, Ning Shi's performance wasn't just simply stunning. It was more layered, and she instantly brought the audience into the scene. The two of them were like clouds and mud. There was no doubt that this time it was still a NG. Even Shen Mian was a little surprised. Her eyes were filled with the expression of someone who had picked up a treasure. She thought that Ning Shi's performance just now was already stunning, but she didn't expect that she wasn't serious at all. Shen Hanchen felt a strong sense of palpitation, as if he was facing an insurmountable mountain. From the moment he chose this industry, everyone told him that with his talent, he was simply born for the entertainment industry, and that he would definitely become famous. But at this moment he finally understood what it meant to truly live for the entertainment industry. Seeing Shen Hanchen's expression, Shen Mian was afraid that he would lose his composure. She walked over with the script and explained the scene to him again. Hanchen, your performance just now has improved a lot. Try harder and maintain this rhythm. You have to know that Xia is favored by the heavens. Not only does he have to be dazzling, but more importantly, he has to have that kind of arrogance that comes from being at the top of the rich and powerful for a long time. If he was just handsome, he would at most be a big star. Temperament and the look in his eyes are very important, you know? You can pay attention to Ning Shi's performance. Because the female lead has experienced life and death, her gestures and even her eyes have a trace of detachment. The grief of the death of her loved ones, the unspeakable love for the people around her, and the carelessness of playing games are all expressed in her eyes. I got it. Thank you, director. Shen Hanchen looked at the video in the camera and saw that he looked like a lousy clown. He simply wanted to destroy the video. Shen Mian patted him on the shoulder. I'll give you 10 minutes to adjust your condition. After saying that, Shen Mian walked toward Ning Shi, who was surrounded by a group of girls. Chapter 905. Ning Shi stood up immediately. Director Shen, are you going to tell me the script? Tell me my ass. Shen Mian grumbled. You brat, so you were hiding your true strength in front of me last time. Shen Mian realized that she had unknowingly called him brat. Ning Shi said innocently, no, I was just acting normally last time. You didn't ask me to audition. This time, she had only used her acting skills. Shen Mian was speechless. 10 minutes later, the filming resumed. After that, there were a few NGs, all because Shen Hanchen couldn't keep up with Ningxi's pace. They weren't on the same level at all. Shin Mian had high expectations for this scene, so she couldn't tolerate the slightest flaw. However, if they continued to film at this pace, they would have to film until the end of time. Moreover, Shen Hanchen was about to break down. This couldn't go on, thus, Shin Mian decisively called for a stop. Cut. As soon as he finished speaking, Shin Hanchen finally couldn't bear it any longer. With a dark expression, he took off his coat and fiercely threw it on the ground. Then he strode forward with large strides. At this moment, his handsome face was densely covered with dark clouds and was almost sinister. The atmosphere was tense. Ji Yuming, Qi Feng, Kumingyu. All the staff members didn't dare to make a sound. The assistant saw that Shen Hanchen had lost control and quickly ran over to comfort him. Hanchen, where are you going? It's only the first day. Don't mess around. Bear with it, bear with it. The director said that you're getting better every time. In contrast to Shen Hanchen's rage, Ningxi was wearing a white retro-British suit. She loosened her collar and put her hands in her pockets as she strolled over leisurely. Shin Mian pinched her brows and walked over. She pulled Ningxi to a corner and said in a low voice, "You saw it too. Hanchen's performance is actually very good, but he's a newcomer after all. You should hold back a little." The only way now was for Ningxi to hold back. Ningxi glanced at Shen Hanchen casually and said faintly, "So what if he's a newcomer? He's a man who can't even act cool. It's better for him to leave this industry as soon as possible." Shen Mian was speechless. All the men present were speechless. That was fucking infuriating. Everyone subconsciously turned their heads to look at Shen Hanchen in unison. Sure enough, his face was almost green from anger. After all, he was still young and full of vigor. Shen Hanchen, who was about to impulsively leave, stopped in his tracks because of this sentence. He clenched his fists tightly by his sides and said, "Director Shin, do it again." Well, Shin Mian hesitated for the first time. Given Shen Hanchen's current state, it would be very dangerous for Ningxi to continue without withdrawing her aura. If he continued to NG this time, it would create an irreparable trauma in Shen Hanchen's heart. This kind of trauma was almost fatal to an actor. After all, Shin Mian valued talent and didn't want to take the risk. Come. Unfortunately, both of them were very persistent. They had already walked to their respective positions and were ready to start. Shin Mian and Ningxi looked at each other. Seeing the calm expression on each other's faces, they somehow felt more at ease. With Ningxi's acting skills, she should be able to control herself and stop when she realized something wasn't right. After all, there was no grudge between them. There was no need for her to ruin a newcomer. Furthermore, from his observation, Shen Hanchen's performance was getting better and better. Perhaps. Chapter 906. Thinking of this, Shen Mian gritted her teeth and finally shouted, "Begin!" Everyone held their breath and stared. The small band in the center played leisurely. The huge crystal chandelier above their heads looked dreamy, and dresses fluttered on the dance floor. At the end of the spiral staircase, two men, one in black and the other in white, walked down slowly, one dignified and the other leisurely. This time, from Shen Hanchen's demeanor to his steps, from his temperament to his eyes, and even when Ningxi looked up and smiled, the corners of her mouth were slightly raised. They were all perfect and flawless. The two of them were like two equally bright stars, shining on each other. Cut. Not bad. Very good. Following Shin Mian's excited cut, almost everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Shin Mian's heart, which had been in her throat, finally relaxed. Thank goodness. Shen Hanchen made it through. If he couldn't, it would be a huge trauma to him, but once he made it through, his acting skills would definitely improve tremendously. Wow, that's great. Ji Yuming's heart was beating fast. When they looked at each other just now, my Fujoshi soul almost rose up. Madam is so handsome. Xixia didn't know anything about Ji Feishua's feelings for him, and only treated him as a capable subordinate and brother. However, the intimacy and tacit understanding between the two was enough to move and influence everyone, making the audience even more worried about the female lead's relationship. Qi Fong was also jealous, feeling like he had been hurt twice because of the two of them. Okay, he's really handsome. Just when everyone couldn't help but applaud and praise, Shin Hanshin, as the person in question, didn't relax at all. He staggered down, grabbed the water from his assistant's hand, and drank half the bottle in one go, his chest violently heaving up and down. It was just a show of acting tough, but it felt like he was on a battlefield, and the spectators were still in shock from watching it. Qi Fong's face was full of panic as he secretly glanced at Ning Shi, who was still acting as if nothing had happened. He then moved closer to Ji Yuming and said, "Yuming, are you sure the person you just described is the same person we're seeing now? This is too scary. How is she gentle? How is she considerate?" He even said that she was a good person, that she could lead newcomers into the role, and that it was easy to act with her. Are you fucking kidding me? This was only the first scene, and Shin Hanshin was almost killed by her. He was glad that he didn't have many scenes with Ning Shi. Ji Yuming bit her lip. But she was so considerate and relaxed when she was acting with me. I don't think it's Senior's fault. Is it her fault for acting so well? It should be because of the plot. The two of them need to act. It's inevitable. Qi Fong. Hee, why did he feel that it was because of the gender difference? To girls he was as warm as the spring breeze, but to men he was as cold as the autumn wind. Something seemed amiss. Shen Mian glanced at the time. It's too late now, so we don't have enough time. Let's postpone the rest of the scenes until tomorrow. Everyone has worked hard. Let's call it a day. Although they didn't finish today's schedule, it was still worth it to be able to perform such an important scene so perfectly. When Ning Shi and Shin Mian were alone, Shin Mian couldn't help but ask, "If Shin Hanshin still can't keep up with you this time, will you stop acting?" Chapter 907. Ning Shi smiled, and the corners of her eyes turned up like a blooming crabapple. How could that be? I believe in Director Shun's judgment of people. If he can't even handle this, it will ruin your reputation, Director Shun. She was acting normally this time. She didn't even suppress the scene. She was already being merciful. When she suppressed Jiang Mai, she was merciless. Shin Mian was almost dazzled by her smile. She was speechless. That's enough. You won't even let me off the hook. Sorry, I didn't have time to switch. Shin Mian was speechless. While they were talking, Shin Mian saw Ke Mingyu standing on the side, as if waiting for them to finish talking. Mingyu, what's up? I'm looking for Senior Ning Shi. Ke Mingyu's usually expressionless face looked a little tense. Ning Shi looked at him curiously, not knowing why he was looking for her. Among the newcomers, Ke Mingyu was the one she couldn't see through the most. However, she sensed a familiar aura from him, one that was similar to hers. Unfortunately, she didn't have time to shoot the scene with him today. She would have to wait until tomorrow. Can I have your autograph? I'm your fan, Ke Mingyu said expressionlessly. My fan? Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. She was surprised. Of course. Then, Ning Shi picked up the notebook and pen in his hand. She signed her name and wrote a few words of encouragement. Thank you, Senior. Ke Mingyu pursed his lips, bowed, and left without saying anything else. Shin Mian glanced at Ning Shi and suddenly asked meaningfully, Do you know how I found this person? How? Ning Shi asked. He wasn't a professional and came to me on his own. I looked for a long time but couldn't find a suitable second male lead, so I asked him to try, but he refused. Huh? Didn't he come to me on his own? Why did he refuse? Ning Shi was puzzled. He wanted to be the male lead. To be fair, his image wasn't suitable for the male lead. Did you convince him? Shin Mian nodded. I asked him to audition for the male lead's role first. His acting skills were up to standard, but his image wasn't up to par. So I persuaded him to audition for the second male lead, but he didn't agree at the time. Later, I personally went to his house to invite him. Ning Shi was a little surprised. Tut, Director Shen, you personally went to invite him. It's definitely not as simple as his acting skills, right? Shin Mian smiled mysteriously. You'll know when the time comes. Since Shen Mian said so, Ning Shi didn't probe further. However, she suddenly remembered something. Oh yeah, Director Shin, can we visit the set? I have a friend who wants to come and see me. I'm sure it won't affect the filming. Sure, it's no problem for your friend. Shin Mian agreed without hesitation. As the two of them were talking, Shin Mian saw a figure poking his head out not far away. It turned out that there was more than one person who hadn't left. Shin Mian glanced at Ji Yuming helplessly. Is she looking for Ningxi again? Ji Yuming nodded repeatedly. Hey, let's chat. I won't bother you guys anymore. Other actors would talk to the director after work, but he was always looking for the female lead. Yuming, it's time to call it a day. Why aren't you leaving? When talking to Ji Yuming, Ningxi's tone was obviously lower. That lowered tone, Ji Yuming subconsciously pinched her ears. Senior, can you give me your phone number? Chapter 908. Sure. Ningxi reached out her hand. Ji Yuming immediately gave her phone to her. Ningxi used her cell phone to press her own number and returned it to her after the call was connected. Ji Yuming plucked up her courage and asked, Can we add each other's WeChat ID? My WeChat ID is my phone number. Just add me. Oh, okay. Thank you, Senior. Senior, don't you need to remove your makeup? Ji Yuming swallowed and looked at Ningxi in men's clothes. At this moment, Ningxi was wearing her own clothes, but it was still men's clothing. She was wearing casual clothes, jeans, and a hoodie jacket. She looked energetic and relaxed. It was just a casual outfit, but when she wore it, she attracted the attention of bees and butterflies. There's a traffic jam on the way back. I'm going to take the subway. It's more convenient, Ningxi answered. Oh, I see. Ji Yuming was about to say that she was going to take the subway too when her phone rang. Her agent had called to pick her up, so she had to say goodbye to Ningxi. Yuming, over here. Brother Feng, why are you here? Ji Yuming looked at the middle-aged agent, who was parked on the side of the road. Qian Zhaofeng didn't know why she was throwing a tantrum. To pick you up, of course. How did it go today? Did you get into trouble? I'm telling you, don't think about the lead role. No matter how unhappy you are with Ningxi, you have to bear with it. If you really don't want to act, I'll help you. He would rather not act in this movie than let her screw it up. Ji Yuming stomped her foot. Who's unhappy with Ningxi? Don't talk nonsense. Didn't you say in the morning? Morning is morning. Anyway, I'm not unhappy with Ningxi. I want to be the third female lead. I'll fight anyone who tries to steal it from me. Qian Zhaofeng was dumbfounded. A woman's heart was truly unfathomable. Ningxi had told Lu Tingxiao that she would go to his place for dinner, so she went straight to his place after work. At the entrance of the palace, Mo Lingtian, who had been sent out by Lu Tingxiao, looked aggrieved. Hey, it's almost dinner time. Aren't you going to ask me to stay for dinner? Ningxi will come over tonight, Lu Tingxiao said. Signify that he will not be disturbed. Mo Lingtian snorted. I've seen through you long ago. Sure enough, you're a man without guts for the opposite sex. To think that he had purposely paid a visit to him and told him so much. Speaking of which, why didn't you ask that Tang Lang? He has been by that person's side for so long. Could it be that he really doesn't know anything about him? He's not my man. He was surprised. Even if Tang Lang told him, he wouldn't believe him. Not to mention, given the shrewdness of that person, even if it was Tang Lang, he wouldn't reveal his background to him. He's already a security guard in your company, but he's still not your man. Mo Lingtian was speechless. As the two of them were talking, a figure walked over from afar. The man wasn't very old, and he was dressed casually and fashionably. His face was extremely handsome, and it was hard to tell if he was a man or a boy. He had a wanton and arrogant aura around him. One look and you could tell that he was someone who attracted bees and butterflies. Due to the contrast between the two men, Mo Lingtian subconsciously took a few more glances and asked Lu Tingxiao, Who is that? Your brother's friend? There were only Lu Jingli's and Lu Tingxiao's villas in this direction, so he was either looking for Lu Tingxiao or Lu Jingli. Mo Lingtian didn't wait for Lu Tingxiao's answer, but saw that the young man walked straight towards them until he stopped in front of them. Strictly speaking, he stopped in front of Lu Tingxiao. The young man didn't drive. He probably trotted over. He was slightly out of breath and his fair and beautiful neck was slightly wet with sweat. After coming over, he pulled down Lu Tingxiao's neck without saying a word and then kissed him. His eyes were sparkling and his voice was hoarse and low. Did you miss me? Mo Lingtian looked as if he had been struck by lightning. His whole body turned into a statue. Chapter 909. Did you miss me? Yeah. What did he see? Even when he saw Lu Tingxiao with that little white rabbit, it wasn't as shocking as this scene at the moment. However, after the shock, he was even more amazed. Dusk fell, and the sky was shimmering with the red glow of the sunset. When the young man stared at Lu Tingxiao, the wild and unruly aura on his body turned into an affectionate one. Under the sunset glow, that pair of shimmering eyes became soul-stirringly beautiful for a moment. Lu Tingxiao looked down at the young man. His eyes, which were covered with snow, turned into the patter of spring water. His gaze was gentle and cherished, as if he was looking at the whole world. Mo Lingtian inexplicably felt that this scene was extremely touching. Fuck. He was crazy. He actually felt that. Lu Tingxiao being lovey-dovey with a man was very touching. After getting the devil's affirmation, Ningxi was instantly satisfied. Sure enough, the healing power of beauty was invincible. Even the tiredness of a day's filming was swept away. She felt that the devil's tendency to get jealous was too groundless. With such beauty in front of her, it would be good if she was not smitten to death. How could she look at someone else? Seeing that the two of them had completely forgotten about his existence, Mo Lingtian could not help but raise his hand weakly. Ahem. Both of you. There's still one more person here. He felt as if he had bumped into something extraordinary. Would he be silenced? No, it was not him who bumped into it. He was just standing there. He was also a victim. Hey young Master Mo, you're here too. Ningxi looked at Mo Lingtian. Mo Lingtian was about to cry. Brother, I've always been here, okay? Why are you looking at me like that? Ningxi put her arm on Lu Tingxiao's shoulder and said apologetically, I'm really sorry. Usually, when I'm here, it's very difficult for me to notice others. Mo Lingtian was speechless. Lu Tingxiao was actually called darling by a man, and he looked like he was in a good mood. Mo Lingtian was about to break down. Lu Tingxiao, what the hell are you doing? When I asked you, didn't you say you didn't like this? What kind of situation was this? Don't tell me that the little white rabbit from before was just a smokescreen. What you really like is actually a man. Fuck. Then wouldn't I be in danger? And what about Xiao? And Lu Tingxiao said, she is Ningxi. Mo Lingtian was dumbfounded when he heard Lu Tingxiao's words. What did you say? At this time, behind the three of them, a soft and adorable little bun ran over like a whirlwind. It did not run toward Lu Tingxiao, but hugged the young man's calf. Its big eyes were filled with surprise and dependence. The look in little bun's eyes gave him a sense of déjà vu. After all, this little fellow was the same as Lu Tingxiao. He had never been so warm and intimate with anyone, except for Little White Rabbit. Last time at Lu Chongshan's birthday banquet, he saw with his own eyes how obedient and cute little Baozi was in front of that little rabbit. When Ningxi saw little Baozi, let alone Mo Lingtian, she even forgot about the great demon king's beauty. She immediately hugged the little fellow. Chapter 910. Seeing Xiaobao wearing fluffy cartoon cashmere pajamas, bare ears on the back of the hat, and a round little tail on the butt, Ningxi was so adorable. Oh, my baby is so cute today. Your father finally has an appreciation for beauty. At this moment, the disguise and shell of the young man holding Xiaobao seemed to have been removed in an instant, leaving only his true self. Mo Lingtian finally believed it. She really looks like a little white rabbit. After Ningxi entered the room with Xiaobao in her arms, Mo Lingtian was still in shock. Damn, it's amazing. Lu Tingxiao, does this girl know how to change into a man? From a little fox to a little white rabbit to a shooting master to a little maid, she could even dress up as a man. A woman who could win Lu Tingxiao's heart shouldn't be judged by ordinary people's standards. He finally knew where the rumor that Lu Tingxiao liked men and kissed a man in public at a party came from. He was so playful. In the living room. Miss Xiaoxi, dinner will be ready in a while. Have some juice. Miss Xiaoxi, have some fruit. Miss Xiaoxi, do you want dessert? After the little maid came back and forth several times, Lu Tingxiao finally pinched between his eyebrows and said to Ningxi, "Go upstairs and change clothes." "Why? It's so troublesome to change clothes." Ningxi muttered in confusion. Lu Tingxiao didn't answer, but suddenly looked in a certain direction. At the door of the kitchen and in the small garden outside the French windows, the little maids at home had peeped into the kitchen many times. One had come to deliver gifts several times. When Ningxi was dressed in women's clothes, she had already coaxed these little maids to favor her one by one, not to mention men's clothes. Is the handsome guy inside really Miss Xiaoxi? How could it be? You must be kidding. One said so. Otherwise, except for Miss Xiaoxi, have you ever seen young master so close to anyone else? I bought the same series for you and Xiaobao. Lu Tingxiao answered. Ah, really? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Go get changed now. Hearing this, Ningxi immediately rushed upstairs. A moment later, Ningxi changed her clothes and walked down. Xiaobao's pajamas were in the shape of a bear, and Ningxi's were in the shape of a rabbit. The two long ears behind the hat were so cute. Ningxi skipped downstairs and turned around in front of Lu Tingxiao. Isn't it cute? Pfft, Lu Tingxiao, I didn't expect you to buy this kind of clothes. Lu Tingxiao, I think you'll like it. Ningxi raised her eyebrows. Do you like it? Lu Tingxiao, you like everything. Ningxi. Compared to her flirting skills, she felt that the great demon king's serious flirting skills were more heaven-defying. After dinner, he returned to his apartment. Ningxi called Zhuangku. Hello, Ku Xiaoxi. It's you. What's the matter? Zhuangku's surprised voice came from the other end of the phone. You said you wanted to come to the set last time. I asked the director, and he said it was okay. You can come here at any time. Ningxi always kept her promise to the girl firmly in mind. Hearing that, Zhuangku was immediately overjoyed. Really? That's great. Ningxi was about to speak, but found that Zhuangku's voice was very noisy. Ku, aren't you at home? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.